He is so discreet that he is virtually unknown to the general public. And yet, on September 10th, 2025, Sébastien Lecornu walked into the courtyard of Matignon as France's new prime minister. At just 39 years old, he carries the dual burden of youth and responsibility, stepping into office at a time when the French Republic faces parliamentary deadlock, political fatigue, and a country searching for stability. Standing before the cameras for the first time as head of government, Lecornu's first words were not a speech of triumph, but of restraint. Ladies and gentlemen, I am not going to make a long speech since this instability and the political and parliamentary crisis we are experiencing require humility and sobriety, he declared. It was a statement that revealed not only his style, but his philosophy. Cautious, precise, deliberately modest. But who exactly is this man Emmanuel Macron has chosen to succeed François Bayrou? Who is this figure who, until now, has thrived in the shadows? Sébastien Lecornu was born in Vernon, Normandy, the only child of a medical secretary and an aeronautics technician. His story is not one of privilege, but of steady determination. A law graduate, he began his political career early, so early, in fact, that he broke record after record. At 19, while most of his peers were still in university lecture halls, he was already working as a parliamentary assistant. At 22, he was a political advisor in a ministerial office. By 29, he had become president of the Eure department, 1 year after being elected mayor of Vernon. Each step marked him as one of the most precocious politicians of his generation. His political roots were on the right. First with the UMP, then with Les Républicains, Lecornu's early career followed the path of France's traditional conservatives, but he quickly learned the art of pragmatism. By the time Emmanuel Macron swept to power in 2017, Lecornu had already shown himself to be adaptable, disciplined, and discreet enough to become an indispensable part of the new centrist project. He has been at the president's side ever since, earning a reputation as Macron's good soldier. Unlike so many others who rose quickly and then fell from favour, Lecornu never disappeared. He is, in fact, the only minister to have served in every government since Macron's election in 2017. First as Secretary of State for Ecological Transition, then as Minister of Local Authorities, later as Minister of Overseas Territories, and finally as Minister of the Armed Forces. It is a career path defined not by scandal or conflict, but by consistency and survival. That survival owes much to Lecornu's temperament. He is a man who prefers the methodical to the spectacular, the private negotiation to the public declaration. During the Yellow Vest crisis, one of the most dangerous moments for the Macron presidency, it was Lecornu who co-piloted the grand national debate. While France was in turmoil, he travelled, listened, and gathered the grievances of citizens. It was an exercise in humility, and it helped calm a crisis that had threatened to spiral beyond control. It also secured Macron's trust. From that point on, Lecornu was not just another minister, he was an anchor in a storm. As Minister of the Armed Forces, Lecornu's portfolio placed him at the very heart of Europe's security challenges. At a time when Russia's war in Ukraine was reshaping the continent's strategic map, Lecornu presided over one of the rare ministries to see its budget increase year after year. He presented the latest military programming law to the National Assembly, negotiating across party lines until he secured near unanimous approval. In a fractured parliament where most laws ignited fierce debate, Lecornu's defence bill stood out as an unusual success story. It confirmed his image as a quiet negotiator, someone capable of building consensus where others met only gridlock. For Emmanuel Macron, this quality is invaluable. The president knows that his government now faces a parliament fractured into bitter factions, populists on the far right, radicals on the far left, Greens, Conservatives, centrists and independents. No one party holds a majority. Governing in such conditions requires more than authority. It requires patience, pragmatism and compromise. Macron believes Lecornu has these skills. He also knows that Lecornu's discretion ensures that he will not attempt to overshadow the president. In the Élysées' delicate balance of power, Lecornu is both loyal and useful. And yet, beneath the loyalty lies ambition. At 31, Lecornu had already entered government. By 39, he has reached Matignon, a position many French politicians dream of but never attain. Along the way, he has cultivated ties with other major figures of Macron's political orbit, Bruno Le Maire, Gérald Darmanin, and former Prime Minister Édouard Philippe, all men who, like him, came from the right but found a new home in Macron's centrist coalition. His friendships are pragmatic, his alliances strategic, his rise carefully calculated. But his first words as Prime Minister suggest he knows the enormity of the task. "We will also have to change," he said on the day of his nomination. "Surely be more creative, sometimes more technical, more serious in the way we work with our opposition. But I also say we will need breaks, and not just in form and not just in method, breaks in substance as well." It was a recognition that the old ways of doing politics may no longer be enough. France, he suggested, needs rupture, not just continuity. This promise of rupture is striking because Lecornu's entire career has been built on continuity. He is not a firebrand. He does not thunder in the assembly or seek the spotlight. His power has been his discretion, his ability to survive when others fell. And yet, at Matignon, survival is not enough. Here, the Prime Minister must lead, must set an agenda, must face the Assembly and the country on a daily basis. Lecornu will need to transform from soldier to general, from discreet negotiator to visible leader. The journey that brought him here is filled with symbolism. Images of Lecornu alongside Macron abound: at the Charles de Gaulle aircraft carrier, in the Levant with French troops, at Le Bourget during the Paris Air Show, or in Hanoi for international diplomacy. In every photo, he is at the president's side, not at the centre. Always present, rarely noticed. That is the paradox of his rise, a man known for being almost unknown. His origins, however, remain important. Coming from Normandy, raised outside the Parisian elite, Lecornu represents a different face of French politics. His parents were not part of the political or business aristocracy. His rise was not guaranteed by birth, but earned by relentless work. In this sense, he embodies the story of social mobility that France still likes to tell about itself, even if fewer and fewer believe it possible. For Macron, Lecornu's profile is politically useful. A young, discreet, centre-right figure can appeal to conservatives, moderates and centrists alike, while not alienating the president's own base. Lecornu's appointment is a message of continuity, but also of adaptability, a recognition that the Republic must adjust to survive. And yet challenges loom large. The French public is weary of political manoeuvring. The opposition is emboldened. The economic and social crises are deepening. Abroad, war continues to rage in Ukraine. Instability spreads in Africa, and France's international role is constantly being questioned. As Prime Minister, Lecornu will not only need to navigate Parliament, but also embody leadership in a country struggling to believe in its leaders. Will humility and sobriety be enough? Can a good soldier become a commanding general? These are the questions Lecornu will face every day from the media, from Parliament and from the public. He will be judged not only on his loyalty to Macron, but on his ability to make decisions, forge compromises and inspire confidence. For now, he remains cautious. He speaks of humility, sobriety and breaks in substance. He avoids grand promises or sweeping rhetoric. His voice is measured, his presence understated. But history shows that Matignon tests every prime minister. Some thrive, others collapse. For Lecornu, the true test begins now. From Vernon to Matignon, from parliamentary assistant to prime minister, from soldier to statesman, Sébastien Lecornu now stands at the helm of France's government. Discreet, pragmatic and loyal, he embodies both continuity and the possibility of rupture. France waits to see whether this quiet man can rise to the thunderous demands of history.